I know Queen was really heavily involved with like Bohemian Rhapsody. How involved, especially Dr. Dre, who's a producer first, how was he over your shoulder working with you? How involved was he in the process of all this?
Well, I was very lucky that, through Mike, through the team at Universal, through all of us and the director, we knew, Dr. Dre was the elephant in the room. I mean, this guy I don't even know how to describe him. He's not only changed music, but he's changed, technology and there's no way around it. I mean, he is a force. And rightfully so, because he's been relevant for decades now. So we knew that eventually, first of all, he was a producer on the movie. And he actually, was involved from day one, was in script meetings, was on set. I mean, this guy was the movie, was into the movie. And so we knew we were going to have to play the score for him. We were going to have him over at Play Cues. But luckily, we designed that. We knew that was coming. So we designed our schedule around it. We made sure that I had a couple months to write the score, to get approvals from the director, to get approvals from, to get the music supervisor involved. The Mike Knobloch came to my studio, like everyone kind of supported me and kind of as a family came together and said, let's make sure Joe delivers this score and to at least a point where it sounds good as a demo, it's mostly complete. And that's when we had Dr. Dre over. And the incredible thing about Dr. Dre is he's very quiet, he's very humble. But you think he doesn't need to be because he's Dr. Dre, but he's very respectful of other artists. I mean, he was very respectful coming to the studio and didn't say much, but when he did say things, it was like pinpoint accuracy of like what the deficiencies were in the score and helped improve it. So, that to me, say no more. This is the reason why this guy is so incredible. And, he's one of the best music producers who ever lived. And this is why he's an incredible he listens, he uses his ears, he's not saying anything. And then when he does say something, it's exactly what you needed to hear to get you to that next step.
Well, that's probably different from the normal process too, where like most producers or filmmakers aren't musical and they're trying to explain something to you that you're then trying to transform what they're saying and make it musical, but he spoke your language.
That's a great point. And it's funny because, we like to joke about this. A little bit of knowledge is dangerous. Like this, sometimes the most difficult producers you work with are the ones who, I studied, trumpet in school. So
why is it always trumpet? It's just, I knew you'd say it. I've had that sitting next to a great director who, when we were talking about the score, said, you don't have to worry about me. I played trumpet in my high school band. I thought, I really am going to start worrying now because you're going to tell me, I understand all this stuff.
I've always assumed going into this Straight Outta Compton movie, when you hear you wrote the score, that there would be drum beats and it would be hip hop, but it almost was steered in another direction to completely separate it from the music of NWA, and it's like very orchestral, which is really interesting. Was that a focus right away when they sat down with you? Like, we don't want this to be a hip hop original score. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's interesting, those early conversations with Gary and with the producers, had nothing to do with like specific musical colors, like orchestra versus this versus that. So, we were just talking about just overall, writing the score, just writing, what is that score? And to me internally, that was what you just said was my own internal dialogue was between me, my music editor, my team. We're just talking about, okay, what is this score? And I think, something very important to me. I remember telling a friend that I was doing Straight Outta Compton. They said, "Oh, great, you're going to write a hip hop score." And I said to him, "Absolutely not. This is the music of Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and MWA. I'm going to sound like a fool, I'm not. These guys are the most incredible hip hop producers of all time. So if I try to do what they do, I'm going to fall on my face and be ridiculous. So I need to do what I do best, which is score film and find the natural, organic way of scoring this film. So that led to two things. So one thing was exactly that, using the orchestra, using organic sound to get to a place that you can't get to in the amazing music of NWA. That music is incredible at describing a whole range of emotions, but not necessarily incredible at describing something warm and heartfelt and something like internal tension and the tension between two people, like on a really deep emotional level. So that the music we're listening to now is exactly that, something that, hip hop is, again, is my first love musically, is just not that great at describing emotion like this. So that was job number one for me, like get to that heart, get to that core. The other interesting thing, there were scenes where I needed to have an action tilt, or, someone was driving a car and whatever, there was something more aggressive. And so what I did is just, and you could argue about how successful or successful I was at it, but I said, what I'm going to do is take my sounds. I put together like a lot of key sounds. I use like, film scoring, this is nothing foreign to film scoring, like taiko drums and, kind of the especially percussion, like percussive sounds. But then I was researching, how did Dre produce his music? Like what type of techniques did he use? So I would take the sounds of my music, of film music, of our music, and run them through what I just jokingly called the Dre filter. Like if Dre had these sounds, like what would he do with them? So that's how I approached like the opening of the movie as an action scene. So I approached that in that way, kind of from a sample perspective, from, a drum machine perspective, that sort of thing. So, whether that comes through or is really present is one thing, but that was kind of my internal dialogue.